Alright guys, so I'm framing along here in my pole barn house, and I wanted to show you how I frame a window. You can see I got a doorway done right there. I kept the bottom plate for now, and I'm going to cut it out later. But anyways, I wanted to show you how I go ahead and lay out this window here. This is how I personally do it, and you can follow along and see if it's helpful to you. So now in my case, I technically wouldn't need headers the way that this is designed. All the weight sits on the post itself, so I technically wouldn't need headers, but I like to build headers anyways just so they're good and strong. I'm doing a double window here. You have to know your window dimensions, and a lot of times the window dimensions are the exact size of the window because they make the windows a little undersized. Like say for example here, I did a double 6x5 window. It's 6 feet wide, 5 feet tall, and that's what I'm doing here as well. And the window place told me that I can make it exactly 6x5 and that the windows are a little undersized, so my rough opening size is 6x5. So you need to know for sure what your rough opening size is. So what I do first, I'll show you here, is I get a center line. I had to measure in from the outside to get my center line of where my window is. So you have to figure out from your blueprint or however you did it what your center line is. Then I'll show you how to lay it out from there. Okay, so I wanted to show this a little better. See how I'm at 3 foot on my center line? Then down on this end, there's a mark right on the end, and then I went 1.5 inches past, and that's where my full stud goes. So the O is the cripple, or whatever you want to call it. Different people have different names for it. Cripples, jack studs. And then the full stud, the king stud, is the X. So technically, if you're going 6 foot here, that's your finished opening, so you have to think about what you want to have for your actual, where you're framing it, like your king stud. So again, the O is where the 6 foot is, then you got to go 1.5 inches over, and then from there over is actually where the full stud is, where the X is. Alright, so the next thing I wanted to show you is wall layout. So in this particular case with the poles, you have to build a bunch of mini walls in between the posts, so you don't just build one big wall. So how do you keep on track? Well, what I do as I go along here, this is a little bit of a different situation since there's a door right here, but I had to go back to the last stud that's 16 inches on center, make sure it's right on the mark, and then hook onto that. Then I had to continue my layout here. So I did that. I got my 16-inch mark. Right there you can see it. So that's that edge, the right edge. It's that edge of the stud. So this means the X goes on this side of it. So then I put my tape right there, and 16 inches on center. So this is a little bit of a different case because you see right here's the window stuff going on. So this one isn't exactly going to go on 16, it's going to go a little less than 16. They'll be doubled up. So I'll show you that. But basically go on layout, and then since I'm in a window opening, I mark it with an O, since I leave those for now. They're partials, they're not full studs. Anything that's not a full stud, I leave it as an O. And the others I do an X, since they're on the end. So there's my son's cute scribbles on my lumber. He likes to grab my pencils and write on stuff. Okay, so that's how you lay that out. And I'm going to mark out my stud placement and everything. I highly recommend getting one of these, or some people call them L squares, some people call them rafter squares. I put it just like that. Mark this side, mark this side. Then I put an X on this. This treat is hard to write on. You can see like that. Then here's my window opening. This is my finished edge. This gives me, my O is a little out of place there, so I'll do another one. And this shows me where that guy goes. Now since there's another stud that wants to be here, I'm going to make another mark right beside that one. So that shows me where that one goes. So it's a lot of X's, but that gives you the idea. Like I was mentioning, this is the finished window opening, so this is where my full stud goes in. And because of layout, there's another full stud going here. But then all the other ones, they have to stay on layout. The cripple's up above the window. I scribbled out my center line so I don't get confused. So them I mark with an O because I know that I omit them for now. I'm not sure who came up with that, but I'll just go with it that it's for omit. So the X, it's not kisses and hugs. It's for full stud and cripple stud. So just the way it came out tight against this post, so it's actually on the end here. Okay, so I wanted to show you now that I'm getting it nailed together. So there's the end one, which is also the edge of the window. And then over here, we put it on the O, remember, we're going to leave that. There's that X. Don't be fooled by that other X. That's that other double one, which I'm going to leave out for now so I can nail the header easily enough. So this one here, this is just in my end here. In my particular case, since I'm nailing it to a post, I'm going to leave that one out for now because I need to nail this end one into the post. It's going to be hard to get to with that one that close, so I'll add it later. So one thing I recommend is to always turn the crown up. On a wall, you always turn it out. So when you're building it, you turn it up. Like when you're laying it like that, turn it up. And then like on a roof, you would turn it up. You're wondering how to sight the crown. You go on the wide way this way and see how this one goes in to the right. And then on this side, it goes to the right as well. That shows you that the crown is this way, up. So that's how you check the crown. So now when building the header for the window, what I do is I sight the crown. You can see I have an X on my board there. I mark them so that way the crown is up. And when you're building a header, you want both of them to crown up so they don't fight each other. And then what I do is I use two 2x8s. I put them tight together like that. And you may wonder the reason for that is because this is going to be the inside, and then that way you can insulate later. I'm going to do spray foam. You can use fiberglass if that's how you're going to insulate. Just to show you an example here quick, that's what it looks like. That way you can put insulation in there. If you're worried about insulation and you want to have this to the outside, you can also do that, but I would recommend doing like rigid foam in between there. So that's how you would insulate that. Then what I like to do is use a 2x6 top and bottom. Then that way you got something nice to go by to nail your studs in. Alright, so next for framing your window, the ones below the window, you have to figure out what height you're going to go. For example, this window right here, it's the same one. We went 28 for the finished sill height, so you have to figure 3 inches less because there's a bottom plate and then there's that sill plate. So we actually had to go 25 with those ones. So that's what I did with these guys. Went 25. And then since my window opening is 6 foot, my finished opening, and these things run all the way to the edge, then this sill plate is actually 75 because it's 3 inches longer. So if that makes sense. And then so you nail those in, and then this one is actually exactly 5 because that's going to be the finished opening for up and down. So you put those in there, and then I'm going to go ahead and install my header that I just built, that I showed you. Alright guys, my battery's kind of low so I can't show too much. So I got the window laying here, I got the header all nailed in, and so what I do, of course you turn that up so it's out when you're done. You just nail it in the side, make sure it's up flush. Sometimes you have to stick your hammer up and pry it up if your floor isn't perfectly smooth. Make the outsides line up, which would be the top in this case. It'll be the outside when you're done. And then I left the top plate off until I'm done nailing all these. So then you would put your top plate on, which would just be a double plate. Just nail that on the end of this one. Then ready to stand the wall up and see the window. So in this case, I'm going to wait to put my top plate on until I stand it up because of my unique situation with my trusses. Like that, because of that metal patch and the lags in there, I'm going to wait and put my top plate in later. So I'm ready to set this wall. So setting up the wall is easier if you put a block up under the top right there. That way you can get your fingers underneath it. Alright, well it's going to stand, just needs a little sledgehammer and work to get it to go up in there, and then I'll show you the final product. And now that the wall is all set, we can sit back and admire it. You can double check your measurements, make sure everything's good, but it should be right on. I got my double top plate on, got my extra studs in place that were in the way for nailing the wall up and stuff like that. Hey guys, if this video was helpful to you, I'd appreciate it if you'd give me a big thumbs up and subscribe to my channel. That would be helpful to me. Let me know how you did framing this window. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you like what I'm doing. Drop a comment down there. Any thoughts, ideas you have, any questions, I'll try to answer them for you the best I can. Alright guys, take care. Thanks for watching.